Yeah, hello everyone. Good afternoon to all of you once again, and welcome to this session in the third day of this FDP program on cloud computing. I'd like to invite Mr. Rishabh Gaur from Microsoft Azure team to take over this session. Dr. Rishabh Gaur, which is technical architect in currently in Microsoft Technology Center, and he act as its strategy leader and digital advisor for many global and regional customers for Microsoft. And while working as a cross-domain architect, he specialized in Azure application development, Azure Internet of Things, and Microsoft Power Platform. And he carries significant expertise in setting up and working with global teams within Microsoft and to deliver value for business by providing robust solution and right technology. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, you can see my screen and you can hear me properly.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Apologies that I might not be able to turn on my camera because I am on a very low bandwidth. There's no electricity here, so I'm connected with my cell phone right now. Uh,
Okay, it's
it's a
fine, no
post.
issue at all. You make it
Oh,
easy.
yeah. Thank you. So it's a post-lunch session. I know many of you might be feeling slightly sleepy and all that. So we'll try to make it a very interactive session. Anytime you feel there's any question, feel free to go on unmute, ask me that question. It could be anything. It could be anything related to my presentation. It could be anything outside as well. Anything that Microsoft offers in terms of a technology forefront. Just ask me questions today. Let's make it a very interactive session. A little bit about me. I think he's given a good introduction, but I'll just tell you my own journey. I have been with Microsoft for the past 18 months, working as a technical architect at Microsoft Technology Center.
Okay.
And what exactly is MTC? So I'll just go into my presentation. And then once I explain what exactly is MTC, then I'll explain what I do on a day-to-day basis. Post that, we'll just look at how we are enabling digital transformation for our customers across the globe. And we'll go into a few case studies, and then we'll see the biggest change that we are seeing in terms of application development over the past few years, eventually diving deeper into DevOps. And I'll take around 60 minutes, and then we'll keep, like I'm still keeping those 15-20 minutes for Q&A, where you can ask me questions in terms of, okay, what's my experience? But those 20 minutes need not to be right towards the end. You can always interrupt me to ask questions. All right. So I'll move forward then. So as I said, I work as a technical architect at Microsoft Technology Center. Now, what exactly is MTC? So MTC is an experience center. So basically, Microsoft has a lot of services. Now, a major question that our customer asks is, hey, Rishabh, I understand that Microsoft provides so many services. Can you show me a real life implementation of a particular service to solve a real time use case that my industry is facing, that my organization is facing? And that's where MTC come in. So we act as a technical arm for all of our sales folks. Basically, everything that Microsoft is doing on a technical forefront, it's our job and our responsibility to show it to our customers. When I say it's an experience zone, it's an experience center. This is what we do day in, day out. As you can see in this photo behind me, we have a shelf, a retail shelf, and we try to show most of our retail customers in terms of what exactly is the ideal product placement. So there are a lot of computer vision models that are running. There are a lot of footfall models that are running. What you see in front of me here is an IoT wall that we have. Now here I try to show a lot of our manufacturing scenarios to our customers as well. So if you can see, I mean, a lot of these things that we do on MTC is always about giving customers an art of the possibility. And it's even more important in current times when you talk about digital transformation, because, sorry, yeah, perfect. So because we have all heard about digital transformation as the journey of building new capabilities within your business, within your organizations, to actually reimagine the business models and to create sustained competitive advantage and experimentation for continued success. Now, when we talk about this, when we give this definition, customers' major question is, okay, this is my problem that I'm facing. Can you go ahead and show some sort of technology, or can you go ahead and use technology to solve this problem? And give me that proof of concept that, okay, it's doable. And that's where that's how we try to look after digital transformation. In fact, if you think about it, whole idea, the purpose of every digital transformation out there is around value generation, regardless of which industry you are in, regardless of any vertical that you are in. Every organization out there is trying to do one thing, which is to drive constant value generation. That's the purpose of digital transformation. It's simply a process to help your organization to find newer ways to generate value. And perhaps the greatest mistake that I see on a day-to-day basis when I'm talking to my customers and partners is it's not just a mistake, it's sort of a trap that we see time and time again is that people are trying to create new value by looking at technology as the answer. There is this idea that if I just use more technology, I'll see things will improve to a drastic level. And that's where I think we slightly differ as an organization. Microsoft slightly differs because our point of view is that digital transformation is first and foremost a people story. It's about people plus technology coming together. In fact, if I move to the next slide, yeah. So we understand that every organization out there wants to digitally transform. They see, because we, in our day-to-day job, we see organizations reaping real tangible benefits, which are the positive outcomes. And it's truly amazing because customers truly realize today that their future success does truly depend on making this transition. Because I think you must have heard Satya Nadella talk about this statement that every organization out there today is a tech organization. And when we say it's a tech organization, we understand that it's important to have this transition in a very, very positive way, moving from a traditional organization to this tech enabled organization. In fact, if you look at this number here, 91% of business leaders today truly see digital transformation as a way of sparking innovation and finding those efficiencies within their organizations. The notion that digital transformation means executing a massive disruption, though, that's slightly problematic. Think of digital transformation as a journey. Think of it as incremental steps towards a long-term goal, and it becomes much less of a daunting proposition. So that's the whole idea. The journey has a single destination, but depending on where you are in your current strategy, depending on where you are in your current vertical, the path to reach this destination will be radically different for every organization out there. And then all of this is great. This is a great pitch to make to any customer. Then what exactly is the challenge that they are facing? And this is where I'll take you through a journey of what exactly has the transformation looked like for our customers and partners. And this is not just Microsoft. This is a generic story of the tech industry as we know it. So anybody here remember these traditional looking wireframe Win32 applications? Now look at this. Just keep these images in your head for a time being. Just look at these images, understand how applications used to look. And on the next slide, let me just move to the next slide. This is where I'll show you. This is an Argentinian artist. He actually drew these images. His name is Luli Kibudi, and he actually made these images in terms of how we really see applications invading our lives in a way that we would not have thought 10 years back. This is his way of showing traditional ways of doing things with modern applications. Your envelope, your letter becomes Gmail. Your job postings on a newspaper becomes LinkedIn. Your photos or your photo wall or your photo library becomes Pinterest. Your TV becomes YouTube. Your encyclopedia becomes Wikipedia. Your cell phone, your landline phone is transformed into a WhatsApp today. Your gallery, your photo albums are actually transforming into Facebook today. So, in fact, I mean, if you look at this screen, what you really need to understand is the apps that we are building today, the code that we as an we as a generation are writing today. It truly has the ability to disrupt the way we live. Uh, I think I'll give you a very simple instance here. For example, let's look at these companies, Netflix, YouTube, Pinterest. They've absolutely changed the way we live our lives. I mean, it's mind blowing. Just think about this example of Uber. Now, whether you loved Uber as a company or not, whether you agree with their politics or not, whether you agree with their culture, you really have to admit that their app is such an amazing experience. Just think about it. I mean, it has truly changed the way we travel today. It has changed the complete industry. And what makes Uber such a fascinating organization is that their application is beautiful. It's a modern application with intelligence built in. In the next 1 hour, I'll take you through what are the components of a modern application, how to go through that journey. But what's really important about Uber, let's go back to the Uber example. What's amazing is the experience that we are providing to our customers from an Uber context. Think about it. You can go to any city in the world, you can pull this app up. If you will see a map of where exactly you are, you start typing in, and even before you finish typing, you realize that it understands where you want to go. It will find the optimal route to reach that place, and not just that, it will find the closest Uber driver that's there. It's just a seamless experience for you. You must be sitting in your hotel in whatever city in the world. You sit at the reception, you order an Uber cab, it's right there for you. I mean, there is no better example of the ongoing of this disruption that we see across industries than the ongoing pandemic as well. I mean, even my mom and dad, they are actually ordering groceries online today through Big Basket and the Grocers of the world. So it just gives you a simple context. In fact, I'll give you another specific number here, which is this one, that we understand that disruption is affecting every industry and no organization is safe. We have all heard about the classic examples of Blockbuster being taken up by Netflix and Lyft and Uber changing the way we see travel and all that. But what's really interesting is this number. I mean, half of nearly or I mean 50% of all the Fortune 500 companies today, they will be replaced by 2026. And in fact, if you look at this, an interesting stat there is the average age of a Fortune 500 company today, which used to be around 120 years in 2005, that has gone down to 40 years today. But what you don't understand is what is going behind the scenes. This is something that I show to customers, and they're always like, "Hey, I mean, this is something I would not have understood before seeing this." Is the fact that technology play a crucial role in disruptors' ability to execute and out innovate their competition. Now, you see these four logos here. What's extremely interesting is the fact that all four of these organizations are are disruptors, but they are major contributors as well. Now, leveraging open source is one way they are innovating at scale and disrupting their own industries, but they are not just consuming open source. That's the big example. They are participating and scaling through the community of developers. I mean, as an early adopter of Apache Mesos, Twitter released Apache Aurora framework that every organization out there is using today for any long running services or the cron jobs that we have. Lyft open source Envoy, which is an agent service proxy, which is designed for cloud native applications. And we'll definitely go deeper into cloud native applications later on. Similarly, Airbnb participate heavily in the JavaScript communities and specific projects like the React.js project. And Netflix is heavily based on microservices. We'll go into microservices architecture, what it means, but Netflix is a big contributor to the Kubernetes open source project by Google. So if you look at this, all these disruptors that we know today, they are working in tandem with community contributors to extend and accelerate their ability to innovate at scale, which is the mutual benefit to everyone involved. So now let me ask you a question before moving forward. How many of you are developers or have written code? I'm not sure if you guys, maybe you can respond in the chat window. Yes, I got one yes. Okay. Okay. I mean, the next 4 or 5 slides, thank you for all the responses. The next 4 or 5 slides are actually talking about who is rightly at the heart of this disruption today. And it's actually developers. And we'll go into every single role out there. But who's driving this disruption today? It's actually developers. They really are the catalyst. And don't just, and this is where I really want to spend some time to get you a new definition of developers. Okay. As somebody mentioned in my introduction as well, I work heavily with a lot of our business users as well. Now, there are two different personas that are arising in the industry. I do not have a slide for that, but I'll just explain those to you. Those two personas are citizen developers and citizen data scientists. Now, what do these two mean? These are people who understand your business, who understand the pain points of your customer, who understand every aspect of your organization, who understand the day-to-day working of your organization, but they do not have the experience of actually coding. They do not understand what C++ or Python is. And that's where we are rising a new platform called Power Platform. I'm not sure if I can take you deeper if required, but the whole idea there is, can we enable the business user of my organization to go ahead and create these applications and these beautiful applications that I gave you one idea beforehand. And that's the latest persona we are seeing. On the data science side, the citizen developer become the citizen data scientist. Anybody who understands, okay, this is the overall process, this is the flow of the process, but then we enable them, we provide them with the best of the technologies so that they can go ahead and create those applications or those workflows. And that's where we see, when we say that developers are the catalyst of digital transformation, that's the people we are referring to. So in fact, if you think about it, I'll give you one interesting stat here. For software engineers today is growing 11% faster outside the tech industry. Hence the whole idea around citizen developers. Because we understand that no matter how much we increase this number of 11%, the demand will never meet this, the supply will never meet the demand that's out there. Hence the whole persona of citizen developers coming into picture, because they truly are at the heart of innovation. Nobody understands your business better than the person who's interacting with your end customer. It could be anybody. The end customer will tell you the pain points, the business user will understand that. So that's the whole idea here. When I say developer from now onwards, it means citizen developers and developers coming together to solve a problem that your organization is facing. So developers today are deeply connected with technology, and they are the ones who are building applications for the business. Okay, developer workflows will drive and influence business processes and functions across the organization, from marketing to sales to services to IT to HR. In fact, to become a digital company, every organization, every company out there must build a culture that empowers developers. So, as I said, developers are truly at the heart of your company's future innovations. From those first lines of code, how do you give your developers the best tools and all? There's a disturbance. Is there a question? Okay. So as I was saying, we understand that, okay, when developers are at the heart of the innovation that my organization is doing, I need to provide them with the best level of code. If it's a business user, I need to provide them with a low code platform to create applications, or with a drag and drop or canvas to actually go ahead and make those ideas come to reality. Now, productivity doesn't just come with great tools, though. When we think about productivity, we need to facilitate collaboration and code reuse or reuse of different concepts that you would have done across your organization. Because nobody wants to reinvent the wheel today. So, this collaboration will eventually accelerate problem solving and will focus effort on solving new problems which are important to your business versus those that have already been solved by by somebody else in your organization. As I said, do not reinvent the wheel. So all of this is great. Then when we think about all of this, then it becomes okay. This is where my organization might be. This is where the industry was. This is where I want to reach. But I'll give you a pop reference here, as Spider-Man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. So in today's world, these developers are more responsible than ever. It's not easy to write apps, and we sitting on top of databases across multiple screens. Now, I'll give a simple context about, again, I'll refer Satya Nadella because I mean, that guy is one of my idols. So he always says that data without insights is nothing. Okay. If you have data, you need to make sure you're analyzing that data to garner some insights out of it. But what he always emphasizes the fact that insights without actionables is clearly useless. That's why we need to build these intelligent applications. I gave you the example of Uber. It really needs to to be able to query the backend database to identify, okay, this is the location of the user, and this is the closest drivers, 5 drivers that he has. So that's why I talk about intelligence so many times, because intelligence is what's really taking this journey to an elevated status. Because we understand it's no easy task. Hence, there is a requirement of an app modernization story to go from these ancestral applications, forms over databases, as I said, to beautiful modern applications. In fact, I should have turned on my laser earlier, but yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So when I say every organization needs to have that journey, that story of app modernization, this is the overall journey that we are seeing across. And this is what I'll take you through in the next 40 odd minutes. Okay, so we have an existing application running on my on-premises servers. And this is something which is very much true with every single customer in most of our developing nations. In countries like India, I think it makes so much sense to think about this, that almost every, like talk to banking customer today, even when we talk to our government customers today, the whole idea is, okay, I do not really trust cloud that much. So I'm more than willing to have an on-premises system, on-premises servers to have an application. So it starts with this journey. If you think about it today, app modernization, as I said, is literally at the heart of digital transformation. So it starts with this journey of creating that immersive experience using modern microservices for the customers. It's about modernizing those legacy applications that are out there, implementing the best DevOps practices, re-architecting apps using containers, and then thinking about modern microservices. So as I said, legacy modernization moves actually from those legacy OS to actually file application servers to eventually web servers. Don't worry about all of this, which is below. Just worry about this journey. So it starts with a legacy app, moving to file and application servers, to then web servers, then third-party app servers, and then eventually database servers. Now, this is the overall journey, okay? And we'll go deeper into each individual of these pillars so that it makes sense. So one last point that I wanted to make before moving into that journey is that there is no single approach which is appropriate today, okay? We see customers might be just wanting to take the benefits of the cloud. And if that's the case, then what they do generally is, okay, let me just lift and shift. What is lift and shift? You have your application running on your on-premises servers. You just lift it up and shift it to the cloud. But that's not really the journey we want our customers to take if they are on this journey of app modernization. That's not the journey Microsoft, or to be very frank, any organization that's helping you in your modernization journey, they should not let you do that. I'll give you the context behind this. I'll tell you the problems behind it as we move forward. Okay, but as I said, there is no single approach that will be appropriate, because these are the few parameters that you really have to think about. What's in the middle here? When you are actually, in fact, I'll give you the 7 to 8 constructs of a successful modern application as we move forward, where efficiency and cost optimization are two of the key parameters there. Okay, so if you think about any organization, this is Microsoft's cloud adoption framework. Some of you might have seen this already, but it starts with defining a strategy. It starts with defining your goals. Your business outcomes are the key areas here. You really have to understand, what exactly am I trying to achieve here? Is it better customer experience? Is it lesser cost? Is it providing my staff with a one-stop solution? Could be anything, but you really have to define those outcomes before even starting on this journey. Then you actually go ahead and plan it out. Once you know what your outcome is, once you know the end goal. So, I mean, if you talk to anybody in Microsoft leadership, the statement always goes like this: let's set out a plan. Let's set out a goal, an outcome, a goalpost to reach, and then work backwards. So the whole idea is, find that outcome that you want to achieve, then go ahead and plan. Then you can actually divide the time perfectly. And I'm not just saying outcome, I'm saying, okay, this is my 2-year goal. You really have to define the time frame there as well. Then you plan in a backward way. Okay, in the first 6 months, this is what I'm going to do. In the next 12 months, this is what I'm going to do. And the last 6 months, it might just be about checking everything is met. And that's how you define a 2-year plan. And then once you are there, that's where we provide an Azure readiness guide. I don't want to make this a Microsoft centric story. I just want to give you an overall story of how we see app modernization, how we see that journey onto the cloud. Okay, so don't worry about the name Azure here. Just think about it. Every organization will have it. I don't know, but other organizations or other cloud providers will also have their readiness guide. And then you think about what's going to be my landing zone. When we say landing zone, we mean where exactly am I going to land? If I'm even doing that lift and shift, what are the benefits I'll be reaping just moving from that on-premises infrastructure to actually moving to cloud? Okay, so that's about it. Eventually, it's about adopting by innovation. Innovation, and when we say innovation, what do you mean? So I have a slide later on, but I'll just explain it to you right now. Once we see customers do that lift and shift, and after this slide, I'll take a pause and I'll ask for questions. But yeah, so once we do that lift and shift, what we really want you to do is think about breaking your bigger applications into smaller microservices. Microservices is another path that we are taking at service-oriented architecture. But the whole idea is let's break our application into those single siloed microservices which can be independent from everything else. So for example, let's say you have a very simple ticketing application. Now, raising a ticket should be just one microservice. Resolution of that ticket by sending it to multiple parts within your organization could be just one microservice just focused on that. The last part of sending a notification to the user that a ticket has been resolved, that should just be focused by one microservice. The whole idea is let's break my application down into smaller and smaller independent pieces. And why do we say independent? So that if a particular piece is not working properly, my entire functionality is not disrupted. So that's the whole idea behind microservices. That's the whole idea behind innovation. And we'll definitely go deeper into this. How do we want you to take the legacy traditional application to modern app journey? Okay. And security, governance, and management just runs across. That's something you really have to understand. As soon as you move from the whiteboard to the planning phase, whiteboard is about getting the business outcomes. As soon as you start writing that first line of code, that's where you think about this. That's where you really think about, okay, governance becomes the key idea for me. So I've told you the principles, I've told you the 3 stages, and I've told you the overall adoption philosophy, and we have already gone into what IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS are. So I don't really want to go there. But this is where I will just pause for 1 minute to, if there are any questions, you can write them in the chat window and I'll take it. Or otherwise, I'll move forward. We have a lot of content to cover. So yeah. Okay. All right. If there are no questions, so we'll move forward. So far we have talked about why exactly we are seeing this. What exactly is digital transformation? Okay. Then we established why developers are right at the heart of this, and then we established okay, there is a requirement of every organization to have this app modernization story. Okay. So with that, now as I said earlier, let's try to bring these two together. The app modernization story required examples to understand concept. I really didn't get your question properly, but if you can elaborate, I'll definitely go deeper into that. So I'll just move forward with the content for now. You can elaborate on your question. I can take a pause, and then, as I said, please feel free to always disrupt my flow. It's okay. I'll always come back to the same flow because I've done this story for a lot of customers. Yeah. As I said, we understand that that requirement is there, but then again, developers are truly at the heart, and hence, from a step-by-step process, we are seeing a newer model of software development, which is where it's a circular process. Don't think about it as okay, I gather my requirements, and once I'm done and then delivered my product, my work is done. No. That's a wrong approach to think about. What's truly happening today is this circular way of development where you develop this product n times and then you go ahead and release it, then you get the feedback, then you actually review the feedback, then if it's accepted, amazing, you will go ahead and release it. Otherwise, what you will do is you will record those feedbacks and then you will go back, you will incorporate those changes which are required, and then you will go back, and if that's accepted, then this goes on, and hence it's a circular process. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll go into the fundamentals of what all I have said so far. What is containers, what is microservices, what is all of that. Then we'll go into the overall overarching theme around this. And then finally, we'll actually go into DevOps. Okay. So firstly, we'll go into what exactly is containers. Okay. Now, containers are an executable unit of software in which application code is packaged along with the libraries and the dependencies and the binaries that are required in common ways so that it can be run anywhere, whether it can be on a desktop, on a traditional IT, on the cloud, or on on-premises servers, anything. So to do this, what containers do is they take advantage of a form of operating system virtualization in which features of the OS are leveraged to both isolate the processes and to control the amount of CPU, memory, and the disk that those processes will have access to. And we'll go into container orchestration as well. So the whole idea here is, okay, let me give you a very simple differentiation here. I think I might have it on the next slide. Yeah. So in fact, if you think about it, if you really want, I'll go back to the previous slide once more, but the easiest way to understand a container is to understand how it differs from a traditional virtual machine. Now, in traditional VMs, what used to happen was, I mean, not just VMs, the traditional virtualization, what used to happen was, whether it can be on premises or in the cloud, there would be a hypervisor, okay? And this is leveraged to virtualize the physical hardware sitting underneath, okay? Then each VM will contain its own guest OS here. These two VMs will have two different guest OSs here, okay? So that each individual container can contain only the application and has access to only this guest OS. Okay. So instead of virtualizing this underlying hardware, what containers do is they virtualize this OS itself on the VM so that each individual container contains only the application and its libraries and dependencies. This absence of the guest OS that's there, this is why containers are very lightweight. So if you go back to the previous slide, yeah, so look at this. Every hardware will have its own OS here, which is not visible here underneath. And then every VM will have the guest OS, and then the guest OS will be talking to the underlying resources using the hypervisor. And that's where we realize, okay, why am I wasting so many resources by having this layer of guest OS? Because this will consume some amount of memory to actually have that OS installed. And that's where we realize, okay, containers is the approach to go. Where containers become this executable unit of software. Okay, so here application code along with the binaries and libraries is packaged together. Okay, they are small, they are fast, and they are portable because unlike a VM, they do not require that guest OS in every instance. And hence the portability comes into picture where you can just have a container here and then you can have another instance of this on your on-premises systems and another instance of this in one of your in your cloud infra as well. Okay, because all you're doing is you're simply leveraging the features and resources of the host OS. So there is no replication of different OSs there. Okay, that's the only thing you really need to worry about. In fact, let's look at a container life cycle. It starts with you actually going ahead and creating a container, then using any sort of container registry that's available. You create an image and that image is getting populated there. So it could be Docker. Docker is the most popular container registry. Then what you do is you run this command called docker run and the name of the container, your container images instance is actually deployed on the VM where you run this command, on the machine where you run this docker run command, and then that image will be actually going ahead and you can pause it, you can stop it, or you can completely remove it as well. So the whole idea here is while we are containerizing an application, the process includes packaging an application with its relevant environment variables. In fact, that's the whole reason why we say there is a Docker file. Because Docker file, what it will do is it will go to the, like for example, the container image that you have created might require a specific version of Python. Okay, now what will happen is, what you need to do here is you need to provide that in the Docker file so that if I want to deploy my container on a VM, which might, oh, what is Docker? Okay, Docker is just a specific container registry. Okay, so it's an open source version. So how should I explain this? I'm trying to find of an analogy here, but the whole, okay, I'll just give you an example. You just went ahead and created a container. Your container can do a very simple thing like, okay, for example, identify an object in an image. Okay, a simple computer vision model that you have drawn, you have made. Now, what you want to do is you want to containerize this so that it can be used across. You don't want just that model to sit on your own PC. on your own computer. You created that model on your computer. Now you want your organization or your people within your company to actually go ahead and use it, or people, or even your friends to go ahead and use this model, that amazing model that you have created. Okay, so what you do is you containerize that. And then what you do is, now once you containerize that, there should be a public place where you can post that, okay, I have created this model. And that's what Docker is. Docker is that online open source container registry where you can go ahead and post that container, that this is the model that I've created and this is the Docker image. Now what will happen is, anybody else, what they have to do, anybody else, if they want to use your own model, what they will do is they will go ahead and download that image. So can you just download an instance of that image? Basically, it will not even be downloading, it will be just getting one key. And once you have that key with you, you just run the Docker run command with that container key. And then that container will run on your machine, on the friend's machine that who's doing all of this. So your model is getting used by anybody else. Okay. And then there are multiple commands. There are commands for Docker pause, unpause. Okay. So that's what it is. All right. Now, I really don't want to go deeper into, there are many such container registries, but the whole idea is containers are helpful. Why are they helpful? It's because they provide with a lot of benefits. Okay. Most important piece is they are lightweight. As I said, there is no OS here. Think about it. VM used to have that OS layer. Containers do not have an OS, and they are independent because they can run on any host OS. Hence the Docker engine which comes in. It's an open source piece. So the whole idea is it's very lightweight. Containers share the machine OS kernel, eliminating the need of a full OS instance per application. And this is why containers are very small and easy on the resources side of things. How container runs applications without an OS. So that's what I'm saying. They use the host OS. So the whole idea is, if I want to run it on a VM, I need to so the VM will also be running on some servers behind the scenes. Yes. Now the whole idea is that server will have an OS to run that VM, and then the VM will also have an OS so that it can run those applications. Now what container will do, your Docker file will eventually have a specific mention there that this is the amount of host OS's memory that I want to use. So it virtualizes not the guest OS, but the host OS. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, okay. And I mean, lightweight is just one. There are multiple benefits. Okay, as I said, portability becomes one of the key benefits of containers, because now once you have your Docker image once you have your container image in the Docker registry or in any sort of registry, anybody can use it. Even you yourself, if you want to run your same model on some other machine, you can go ahead and go to the other machine, just have internet connectivity, get the Docker image. That's about it. So portability becomes, and one more piece why portability becomes important is because it carries all the dependencies. In fact, if you look at any Docker file, I might give you one example of a Docker file as well, so that it becomes important. Okay, Docker file example. Yes. So I'll just give you one sample Docker file, and I'll bring my browser here so that you can see it. Yeah. So think about it. What it does is, okay, this is a simple Docker file. Okay, and think about it. Just look at this. It is using the host OS where you are running this, and it's asking, okay, go to this executable file and then just run this command, and then use Python to actually go ahead and run this command. Okay, so it will go to the executable, it will create a new folder called app, then it will run this Python script. Now what it's doing is, now there is every dependency that's there, it will already be here. So the host OS will actually go ahead and use all of this. Will actually go to the Docker file and download all those requirements and the prerequisites that are out there. Okay, so that's one benefit. Another benefit, it supports modern development architecture due to a combination of their deployment, portability, consistency across platforms, and their small size. Containers becomes an ideal fit for modern development, and we'll go deeper into why exactly is that the case. Does VMware have a role in deployment? VMware is one specific organization that's doing this, but no, you can do this on your own as well. There is no specific requirement of going to any specific vendor out there. Okay. And lastly, it improves utilization. The whole idea is, earlier VMs would actually consume almost a particular percentage of your memory that's available to you just in having the guest OS. And now, because you are improving the CPU and memory optimization using containers, you really see a benefit in terms of the overall utilization capability. Okay. So, in fact, somebody asked the question, what exactly is Docker? So, these are three different pieces that I already showed it to you. So, Docker will just host the images that are out there. Okay. So, what you will do is you will have that image right there, then you will bring it to your own system. Once you bring it to your own system, you will actually do Docker run, it will just run. Okay, every Docker image has to have a Docker file with it, which will have all the dependencies that are there. Okay. Shall I move forward? Any questions on this? If there are questions, feel free to write them in the chat. I'll answer them. So now I gave you what exactly containers are, and then and okay, whether Docker supports all the guest OS. It supports Linux. It supports all the Linux OS versions as well as Windows. Yeah, no issues. There was another question. Okay, chat. Let me open the chat here. It consumes server memory or the client memory. The whole idea is don't think in terms of server and client. Think about it as one single system using the, if you really have to answer it in a very crude way, you will say server only. But the whole idea is don't think about it as server or client memory. Think of it as a simple orchestration all across. So your container is utilizing everything which is there of the host only. The CPU, the memory, the usage, everything is happening on the host only. And hence, orchestration becomes a key issue. I think that's a very good question, because what will happen is, I'll give you a simple example. Okay, we all use Flipkart or Amazon for that example. Now, what happens is, during all these Diwali sales or these Maha festival sales that these guys have, on that specific day, think about the amount of load that a particular application will face. Okay. Now, if that application is containerized, now let's say in your day-to-day job, you have given it 2 GB of RAM, for example, for that microservice to run, for that container to run from the host OS. Okay. But now there is a particular amount of capacity overload that's going to come on that Mahadiwali sale. Okay, now what will happen at that day? So, and on that day, there is a requirement to actually provision this redundancy, to actually provide it with more OS capabilities, better memory, larger memory size. And that's where orchestration comes into picture. That's where the whole idea of, okay, my container should be able to scale, upscale, and downscale automatically. My container should have a capability of load balancing so that it knows which node to go to. And that's where the whole orchestration comes in. In fact, Kubernetes is an open source project by Google for use for orchestration. I don't want to make this that technical, but the whole idea is orchestration is very important, because I just don't even think about that orchestration just on a scalability perspective. Another way to think about orchestration is your application is getting divided into these multiple smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. Now, if that's happening, then also orchestration becomes very important, because you really have to think about, okay, this is the smallest component, but there are 20 components like this. Now, how can I actually have those 20 components working parallelly in a perfect way possible, so that provisioning is taken care of, redundancy is taken care of, their health is getting monitored, their resource allocation in terms of the OS memory and hardware is getting taken care of, moving them between multiple physical hosts. For example, if you feel, okay, this is the maximum hardware capability that my current host has, and then I wanted to have a larger memory footprint than that, then you really have to move it between physical hosts. At that point of time, that's where orchestration comes into picture. So think of orchestration, just keep it in your mind as a theme. Okay. So all of this is great. This is just a very 101 on containers, a very small introduction of what containers are. But let's think about some of the modern applications, and don't worry about these individual components. No, I just want to give you an idea in terms of the complexity your developer is facing. Okay, that's one. This is a simple Kubernetes application. Okay, it is having CI/CD. It is having your dev team and your ops team And it is having multiple components here, okay? There's another serverless web application here. There's another application which is a cloud native application. Cloud is the new buzzword that we see all around. So if you look at all of this, just think about the challenges. I'm going back to the theme of a developer being at the heart of all of this. So just think about the challenges that a modern developer is facing today. The organization is every day behind him that, okay, I need to ship my product faster. I need to ship faster. I need to iterate with confidence because once my user is using it, if there is some challenge he's facing, I'm not help. Like my brand name will take a hit. I don't want that. At the same time, technology is evolving at such a rapid scale that they really need to master all these new technologies and new advancements. Okay. And then the whole idea around collaboration, which I've already thrown some light on. And collaboration, don't just think it about within your organization, think about it the collaboration you have to do across time zones, across your customers and partners. So if you think about that, I think in the morning session we had an understanding of this, but the whole idea is eventually moving from an on-premises to IaaS, then we move into serverless, and this is what I was talking about earlier. The whole idea of when we say developers, we mean providing your business user with the low-code platforms as well. Because at the end of the day, we don't just want people who can code to actually go ahead and solve the problems. It should be everyone. Okay, so this is the first step towards mine. This is the first step towards the journey to the cloud. If you look at the major constructs, we have already gone deeper into this. We really need to, I mean, this is not, these two are not even something that I should even focus on. I mean, we all know what AI is. We all understand what managed database means. So the whole concept of AI and managed database is actually making sure different parts of your application is able to talk to different pieces of the modern app that you have, okay? AI, I have been talking about intelligence all my talk so far, so that's there. So while we look at these as 5 different pillars, look at the evolution of software development. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is where we used to see, this is where the developer used to be. This is where we used to see a lot of pro developers, those who understand programming. This is where we see innovation happening. Low code is where innovation is happening. Cloud computing is where innovation is happening. And the whole idea is productivity goes across here. From left to right, it goes across. So that's the whole idea. So microservices, as I said, is an architectural pattern, which are very, so as I said, they are very small in nature, they are independent of each other, and they are loosely coupled. So we understood this. Now I'll try to summarize all that I have said in the next slide. I mean, if you would not have listened to me, I know it's an afternoon session, you will not listen to me at all. This one slide is what I want all of you to take away. Okay. This is one slide that I want you to just remember anytime anybody talks about modern applications. Okay. So think of software delivery from 3 different perspectives. Okay. One is architecture, the other is infrastructure, and the last one is about delivery. Now, if we go back in time a little bit, and this is something that you really, I mean, if people in the meeting today are young, they would not even know this. But the whole idea is if we go back in time, we see applications were monolithic in nature. What is a monolith? It's a single chunk of code. So basically think of monolith as, okay, my application will solve this issue by doing these 5 steps. So a monolith will have all 5 of them combined together. Okay, so applications were monolithic in nature. They were running on physical servers, as I said, and this is very much true in most of the Indian customers that we talk to. Okay, and it used waterfall style of development. Okay, what is waterfall style of development? It is just understanding. Okay, this is going to be my planning phase. This is going to be my development phase. This is going to be my testing phase. You remember that straight line that I showed you, the from gathering of requirements to actually delivering an application. Okay, so waterfall style of development means, okay, I have this 12 months timeline to actually create that monolith. And that's what waterfall style of development was. Okay, and this is something that we have really gone away from as an industry, as a tech industry has gone away from. So if you look at how most of the organizations are working today, they have some sort of a service oriented architecture. Okay, what do you mean by service oriented architecture? So basically it's some sort of a distributed architecture where we have a bunch of web services which are talking to each other. If I go back to the ticketing example, different applications are talking to each other. The first service oriented architecture, your first microservice will just talk to think about raising a ticket, and will just trigger the second set of events. The second set of events, one which is the actual resolution of a ticket, that will just go to the backend application to actually resolve that ticket. Finally, the third microservice, which will be the notification to the end user that your ticket has been resolved, that application will just be talking to the backend service. So it's sort of a distributed architecture where application is just talking to its nearby components. Okay. From infra side, as I said, it used to be VM, then it became cloud. Okay. And from a development side, it becomes agile development. Agile, I mean, it's self-explanatory. But this sort of shows a picture of where our customers are, where we want our customers to go to, where we want every organization to go to when they think about app modernization. Okay. So the whole idea here is, let's take another hit at SOA, which is service oriented architecture, and this time try to convert those services rightly into those independent, loosely coupled microservices. Okay. Cloud became containers, as I already explained. And from a delivery perspective, that's where DevOps come into picture. Okay. So when I talk to customers, they always say, Rishabh, these are three different transformations that I really need to think about if I have to worry about app modernization. And that's where they are wrong. It's three transformations happening together. It's three transformations that are going on in the industry as of now. Okay. So just remember this one slide. It's microservices running on containers with DevOps being the process of delivery behind the scenes. Okay. As I said, this is the one slide that I want all of you to take back with you. Okay, I might skip the next section because I really want to go deeper into DevOps. So this section just talks about the overall journey. I think in the morning session we covered this, moving from on-premises to IaaS to managed and to eventually serverless. So we have already covered this, but this is the overall construct of a successful modern application. These are the 7 pillars of a successful modern application. It's cost, scale, performance, then security, availability, resilience, governance. So think about it. These three are from the developer perspective. These 4 are from the overall application perspective, the ops side of team. The ops team have to think about this. Okay. So there is this sort of a paradox that's there because your developers are actually focused to every single day innovate at speed, innovate at scale, and your ops team have to keep the lights on. There, what's the job of the ops team? The ops team, the operations team in any organization, they only have to focus on making sure my application is running so that my customers do not face any problem. So anytime a developer will say, okay, I want to inculcate this specific feature into my software delivery, the ops team will have a few asks from them in terms of, okay, what exactly is the requirement? Why do you want to do this and all that? And hence the whole idea here. Okay. So as I said, then what it becomes a competition of control and stability versus speed and results between the ops team and the devs. Your developer have to focus on making sure they are getting the latest and the greatest right within your product. And an operation team have to focus on making sure the app is stable. User load is not making your app to crash. Okay, so that's the whole working that they have to do. They have to think about the stability and making sure your app stays online. Keeping the lights on is the terminology Microsoft generally uses. I have a small video now to show you. So when we think about this, that's where DevOps comes into picture. What is DevOps? DevOps is the coming together of developers and operations together. Okay, and I'll show you a small video here, which is not at all, which you will feel is not at all related to this uh, related to technology, to be very frank. So I'll make sure my uh, audio is also fall through and share content optimize for motion and video. Yeah, now if I share my first screen, perfect. So now what I'll do is I'll go to the next screen. Uh-oh. For some reason, okay, let me just share my screen again. This is just because I want you all to hear the audio as well. It's a 2-minute video, so you'll watch all of them. Just give me a heads up if you can hear the audio as well here in the chat window. Okay. So now we'll go to the video. So this is just a small video about DevOps before and after. And again, it's a very different video. So I'll just let you guys have a look. Just tell me if you can hear the audio as well.
Holland comes in for a pit stop. Time to refuel and change tires. Lou Moore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's a tense time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's watch.
You guys can hear the audio?
The tires are changed at last. A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stopped.
Perfect. So just remember 2 things here. 67 and 8 are the 2 different numbers. Okay. And I really, really love showing this video. Okay. I still remember the first time I saw this video. Okay. And I was like, I mean, this is it. When I talk to, I used to talk to customers about DevOps day in, day out. Okay. And the whole idea is, when I saw this video for the first time, the whole idea was, this is exactly what every organization out there should try to do. Okay, they should be going from 4 people trying to swing that hammer there to a car to changing all 4 tires in a blink of an eye. Okay, and there is a lot of learnings that are there in this video. Okay, and whenever I show it to customers, I mean, generally there are 2 questions that they generally ask me. One, they say, okay, look at how many more people are there in this one. Okay, of course it's going to go faster. That's the answer that they gave me. And second, they say in the first one, there was a particular guy who was refueling the car and they didn't even refuel the car. So there is definitely less value in the second pit stop than the first one. Okay, so let's address these 2. First is the huge increase in the number of people. Now, you really have to think about the time has truly changed. Since the last 1 hour, I've just been trying to explain one concept here, is the fact that today developers are not going to work alone. They really have to work together. In fact, I'll tell you, one of my close uncle, he is working with tech giant. He's working with, I'll just give you the name, it's okay. He's working with Dell today, okay? And he always used to tell me that before this, he used to work for, when he was a young engineer, he used to work for a small firm which used to write software. And he used to tell me that he would actually, every night, he would go to the server room where there were these ProLine servers that were kept. He would pull out a keyboard, he will type in his username and password on the working server. The server will log him in. This is the real production server of a software that organizations are using. Okay, that's available on the internet, and he would be able to move files around, delete registry settings, and add his code. And it's funny. He used to say, Rishabh, I honestly have no clue what I was doing. Okay, I was literally swinging a hammer to a big machine. I would go there, I would type in my ID, type in my password, and I will just add my line of code, and I will just try to run away. Because if something wrong happens, it's somebody else's job. They should not point the blame on me. Okay. And now think about it. Today, the landscape has completely changed. First of all, you have no idea where your servers are. If you are running an application, think about it. If you are creating a simple web app that's going to run on the internet, you will have no idea where the servers are. And the thing is, even if you know where your servers are, you definitely have zero control over the admin settings. Okay. So everyone in your organization, they really want to be involved when it comes to software development. Okay. And the whole idea is people take pride out of it. They say, okay, I was involved in deploying that specific feature of my application that is impacting X number of users. So that increase in number of people is already there in the tech industry. Then the second concept that people ask me is this one. And what's really interesting in this pit stop of 2013 is I don't see all of these as people here. No, what I see is automation, continuous integration, continuous delivery, infra as code, security, all of it is taken care of. And the more I watch this, the more I'm able to draw parallels to what DevOps is. Okay. Now you see these two gentlemen in the top right corner. What is their well? If you look at the video, they do absolutely zero. They don't even move. All they do is they are watching this. Okay, they're watching this 5 second pit stop, and they are monitoring it to figure out, okay, how can I save the next half second here? How can I make it a 3 second or a 4 second pit stop? So our customers should also be doing that. They should really have people in the DevOps process where they should think about, okay, I need to measure what's available right now. What are the changes I can make? And then I need to measure again to see if that change which I actually made was impactful, or otherwise I'll go back to the previous version. Another thing is redundancy. Think about this guy. There is one guy who's actually there responsible for elevating the car for the new tires to come in. They know for a fact that at some point his machine might fail, and there is another guy with another similar machine standing there. Similarly, this guy is actually bolting in the tires, but they have another machine behind him. They have another machine behind this guy because they know at some point something will fail. And that's the whole idea. That's it. If you can inculcate all of this, if you can inculcate automation right within your app, that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea around DevOps. Okay. And lastly, let's talk about refueling of the car. In the first one, people say, okay, there's no refueling in the second person. Now, think about it. In the first one, refueling was done within 2 minutes. It was within, I'm giving a 2 minutes as just a saying. So refueling was done before time. It was the changing of different tires that was taking them so much time. Now what we did, we enabled technology to solve that problem. Okay. But then refueling, we actually optimized our product so that it can go across the overall racing code without the need of refueling. Because you have to understand, refueling was not the difficult part here. Changing the tires was the difficult part. So once that was taken care of, you really don't have to worry about refueling, because that's where you have to elevate the technology itself, elevate how a car functions itself so that it can cover more distance in less amount of time. Okay. So the saying in DevOps goes like this: if it hurts more, do it more often. If you feel that, okay, this is the major blocking for me, then you really have to invest more time on that. You really have to invest that extra time on that to understand, okay, those two gentlemen who were standing on the right hand side, they were investing their time to find out where can we save that extra half a second. Okay. So when I talk to customers at MTC, a lot of people say DevOps is about automation. It's about dev and test. And I always say that's great. Others say it's about provisioning, maybe. It's about getting the infrastructure set up and configured. I'm always like, okay. Some others say it's about running and dynamically scaling. That's again okay. And lastly, there is a group who say, oh, it's about monitoring and learning. And I say all of these are great practices. In fact, we as Microsoft look at a larger view of this. This is the one that I showed you earlier also. From planning to developing to packaging to deploying to running and to monitoring and learning. And then it goes back. So basically, the monitoring and learning will again go back to the planning phase as well. Okay. Now, all of these are great practices to enable DevOps. But what DevOps is, it's actually the union of people, processes, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to the end user. And I am not saying the end user has to be some big customer or anything. Could be anybody. Could be your friend that you are showing the product to. Okay, it's about delivering value to them. And again, let me write it. The most important word in this definition is value. It's not about shipping software. The previous slide showed you how to go ahead and ship a software. It's not about that. It's about shipping features. It's not just about having your devs and your ops people not trying to kill each other. It's about continuously delivering value. That is the most important thing. To do that, people have to come together, process have to come together, and eventually products that actually wield that value, they really have to be built. Okay. So that's what DevOps is. It's your developers and your operations team coming together to solve the problem of the end user. It's that they both lie on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But the whole idea is we have to solve the challenges of the people who are going to use my application, which is front end central to everything I do. Okay. So this is where we are seeing code to cloud DevOps. Effective DevOps isn't just about the tools. It's a combination of technology, culture, and process change. So only through addressing these areas can a company cope to see the ROI enjoyed by the top organizations who are implementing DevOps. Quality, speed, and efficiency are the tangible benefits. Okay, so that's there. And as Microsoft, I think GitHub is, I mean, all of you must know what GitHub is. So GitHub is front end central to everything that we do from a DevOps perspective. Another way to look at DevOps is shifting left of everything. So as I showed you guys earlier, the 7 constructs of a modern successful application. The first 3 constructs were cost, scale, and one more was there, which was sorry. Yeah, so cost, scale, and performance were there. Now that's the developer's job to actually think about cost, scale, and performance, and then they go ahead and deliver the product. And that's where the operations team come into picture, where they have to think about governance, security, resilience, availability of my application, and so forth. So this is how industries used to look at it. Now that's where we think about the whole approach of shifting this block to the left. Okay, it's called shifting left. So from reactive operations, you move to proactive operations. So the whole idea is everything should be taken care of from the ground up. When my developer is developing my application, he should think about resiliency. He should think about monitoring. When my developer is thinking about delivering the product, before that, he should think about security. So that's what the whole idea is. In fact, if you look at this number, the amount of new work that an organization can achieve if they have DevOps installed in their organization is 50%. It's actually a raise of 66% from this. I mean, 66% more than an organization which do not have DevOps in their in their infrastructure, in their software delivery lifecycle. Hence, DevOps becomes key. Okay. Any questions on this before we move into what exactly is Microsoft's different solutions? We have 20 more minutes, so you can ask me questions. Okay, what I'll do is I'll finish this and then I'll stay on till 3:30 if you have any questions. Okay, so if you understand that, then let's move into Microsoft's own DevOps solution suite. Okay, so again, the whole idea here is your developers have to develop, and this is where we have to make sure that they are doing it at the maximum efficiency because their time is precious. And how do we give them the best tools and reusable building blocks of code so that to accelerate from the planning and the ideation phase to reach the realization phase? That's where Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code comes into picture. The next problem is around collaboration. That's where, I mean, all of you, if you have coded anytime in your life, you must have used GitHub already. In fact, if you think about it, almost any new product that any organization built today, they are leveraging open source to a larger extent. And that's where GitHub comes into picture. The third one is around delivery. So when you have a lot of developers collaborating on the same piece of code, now you have to run into software quality and the delivery challenge. And that's where you need to make sure that you need to ensure that the code can be built, it passes the required tests, and it's secure and it can be deployed at any time. That's where Azure DevOps come into picture. And finally, we have, once your code is running in the environment, your customers do not care if you do not have tested it for scale. Because at the end of the day, I told you earlier also, if Flipkart goes down because of the Mahadiwali sale, uh, the experience that the customer will have, they will never forget it. So that's why service reliability, security, all of that has to be taken care of beforehand. That's why the whole shifting left thing, shifting length theme. Okay. In fact, if I go into this, these are the different products that we have. From DevOps perspective, I don't really want to make this a product level talk. So it's just the whole idea here is it becomes a circular process. From a straight process from planning to actually delivering the product, it becomes a circular process where you monitor, learn, and then you reiterate on those learnings. Okay. This is by far the last slide that I have. We have multiple products to do the same things. So we have around 10 more minutes. Any questions on anything? I think the next slide is just references. Yeah. So any questions, anybody? That's all I had in terms of presentation. I'll open the chat. Okay. Are you asking for my email ID? It's there in the, okay, I'll just give it in the chat window for all of you. So it is everyone. Okay, just, I think this is easier to remember. It's rishabh.gaur@microsoft.com. Okay, more than happy to connect with you guys on LinkedIn as well. My alias there is Gaur Rishabh. So that's there. I'll turn on my camera now because I really don't have to present anything. So any questions that you have, let's take the next 10 minutes on and then we'll actually, yeah. And please don't call me sir. It's okay. I'll just turn the camera on now. Yeah. So any questions? Yeah. DevOps consumes more people, correct? If it, okay, let me in the chat again. Consumes more people, correct? If it is true, then the cost will be high for a company. Am I correct? DevOps consume more people. Okay. I'll tell you something very, because of very poor. Okay. Guys, I can stop sharing my screen. That will help. Stop sharing. Yeah. Just answer the questions now. It says my network is very bad. Yeah. So you really have to think about software delivery today as, okay, it's already there are many people involved. When I say many people, like already there is a large team that's involved to actually to deliver any software out there. Go to any service company and you will see the amount of people that are already working on delivering any specific product feature. I mean, just think about, I'm just talking about a specific feature right now. If you think about that, then it becomes, guys, don't call me sir, by the way. So then it becomes that people are already there. It's about assigning them their specific responsibilities. And that's why I go back, I'll take you back to the video that I showed. The whole idea is if you assign people with their specific responsibilities, then it's not a difficult task to actually think about it. And hence the whole idea that, okay, people are already there, they should know what they have to think about, and then the cost becomes, and then again, when you say cost will be high for an organization, the idea is the amount of benefits you will reap is nothing like it. Minimum people, maximum delivery, not possible in DevOps. There is no concrete answer, but yeah, you will require a specific amount of people. Yeah, I mean, a single person can do everything, but the whole idea is we do not want, that's not what DevOps is about. So yeah, for you, yeah, the answer will be yes. Yeah. All right. Let me close this. Any other questions? I am still here for the next 15 odd minutes. If required, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Low cost platform, then no need for software team. No. Okay. Bala Subramaniam and Vishwanathan. I don't know what your first name is. So the whole, I got it. I understand you meant low code. It's something we are seeing across our customers that earlier what used to happen was I used to have a developer team sitting behind the scenes who was actually just developing different products. Okay. And then I used to have a sales team and a business team who would actually move forward and they will actually talk to my end customers. Now, there was this sort of gap in between where they used to understand, okay, while all of this is great, what's happening behind the scenes is the fact that because my business user, he understands my business, he understands the pain points of the end customer. He knows what the end customer is asking when he's asking questions. Today, he actually has to go back to the developer team and he has to tell them, okay, this is the pain point. Can you do this by code? And that's where we are providing the low code facilities to the end user. But the whole idea here is my business user can actually create applications and they reduce that latency. But there will be times where I'll go to the next question later on. But there will be times where it might be something that the low code platform might not provide. So that's where the pro developer will come in. He will actually develop that product and then he'll publish it for any of the business user who is facing that problem. Hence the whole idea behind reusability. So anything that's not available out of the box on the low code platform as of now, what you do is you actually go to the developer team, to the pro developer, you ask them to create that, and then you make it available for everybody within your organization. The whole idea behind making it a team game. So Microsoft, if you look at it, Satya's keynote in the last month's event that we had, Ignite, it's available on YouTube. He says this, that low code today is a team game where we talk about having the pro developer involved, having the business user involved, having the automation teams involved. So it's like that. Durga Prasad, to your question, if you could please tell us security services, service architectures, server architectures offered by Microsoft. Security, I am not the expert. I have another guy in my team. You can write a mail to me. My email ID is there. Get you in touch with him. Balasubramaniam's question was, somebody answered. So yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Jenkins. What exactly do you need to know about Jenkins? Yeah. There are multiple pieces that are using that multiple organizations that are providing these capabilities. GitHub is one, GitLab is one, Jenkins is there, Terraform, Ansible. All of these things are already there. And today, as I said, I did not want to focus on Microsoft. I wanted to give you a journey of what exactly we are seeing when it comes to an app modernization perspective. So yeah, you can go ahead and use any system. Like there is no issue. I can always just give you a path. If you want to work with Jenkins, write a mail to me. I can actually get you in touch with folks, or maybe I can personally help you. I have personally worked with Ansible, with Terraform many ways, because infrastructure as code becomes key asked by our customers as well. So I've worked on all of these things as well. What are the main benefits of DevOps? Tanvi, to your question, how should I say this? DevOps is a philosophy. What we are seeing is if my dev team and my ops team are not working together, it becomes like a fight. And when I say fight, I literally mean it, because what happens is my dev team is looking at the latest products that are out there. CI/CD, agile. Okay, I'll ask Tanvi's question. I think Durga Prasad, you really need to write some more, like explain that question slightly more. So Tanvi, to your question, basically, your dev team is really focused around giving the best experience to the consumers. Okay, their idea is I need to give not just the best experience, but let's say if the way of coding, I showed you example of a slide where I was showing applications, which how applications used to be versus how they are now, the modern application. Now that experience, if I want to provide that experience to my consumer, I really need to develop newer features into my application. That's the dev side of things. The ops team's job is to make sure whatever my dev team is building, that's secure, that's reliable, it's staying online. Okay, and when you think about that, the whole idea is it should not get disrupted because of this new feature that I'm trying to inculcate. If I put in the new feature and my app is not working, if my app is down, if it's and so think about the experience that the user will get. They will really not like it, and the brand name will go down. I mean, just think about it. Anytime you see news, if Gmail goes down for 5 minutes, the entire world creates so much issue. So the whole idea here is your dev teams and ops team were working like this in different silos. And the whole idea is, can we bring these together? Can we make that shifting left philosophy right in the code? And that's where DevOps comes into picture. Where when you are coding, when you are before deploying your application, you do all the testing. You do everything before even making sure your application is going public. And that's why the microservice architecture, because then what will happen is if one microservice is getting broken, you really only have to restart that specific service by taking it to a previous version. Okay, but if it's a monolithic application where all the entire application is together, then what will happen is then it won't work, because then you really have to break the entire application down. Hence this. I missed one question by Vijay Kumar about how DevOps helps for RPA. Think of it in a different way. RPA will eventually help in DevOps. Because I mean, even we as Microsoft, we provide a product called Power Automate. I can take you deeper into this if you write a mail to me. But we are providing we are providing our developers with tools where anytime they write a code and they submit it, the entire code will go through that CI/CD pipeline completely. So RPA will eventually help DevOps, not the other way around. Yeah. All right. I hope it was and you guys must have learned something. If you feel to engage MTC, you can write to me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So, yeah. Thank you.